Morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of FranFunnel Live. We got a nor'easter heading for us here in the Northeast, but we're here at the office, making sure that we keep everything nice, running smooth for you guys here today. I want to introduce you. This is Alex Volodarsky. Alex actually recently took over as the general manager of FranchiseHelp. And the reason I wanted to have him on today is I'm obsessed with the curse of knowledge. I'm obsessed with, I can't know what it was like to not know things way back when I first started here, when the people who have been at the General Metric family for a long time know. So I'm Alex, I just want to kind of ask a question. I mean, you started here a couple weeks ago. What surprised you? What's kind of, as you've entered into this franchise lead gen world, has kind of, caught your attention?
Great question. I think the first thing that really jumped out at me was just how massive the franchise industry was. I sort of, I was reading up about it before I came, but I think being here and going to the conferences and seeing some of our customers and how many locations they had was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize just how much of a fabric of America it was.
Right.
So that was really cool and exciting to see.
Right, of course, there's this kind of big realization that happens when you're in the franchise world where it's you think of this as a restaurant or a gym or tax preparation or senior care, and you don't think behind the scenes, well, wait a second, what's the economic structure that's actually belies this system's growth? And when you find out it's a franchise, you're like, holy crap, there's thousands of these all around the country. It's pretty amazing. As far as how franchises find new franchisees using the internet, what we do here, in this, is there anything that's kind of opened your eyes, oh my gosh, this is weird, or this is cool? I don't know.
Yeah, I think, it's, 2018 now, and I still feel like a lot of the technology and a lot of the processes are stuck in, 2008.
Nice.
That's both exciting as an opportunity, and it makes me kind of driven to come in and hopefully make some changes. And it's also, it also just makes you realize how much we have left to go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think just sort of the major thing when I came in here was, some of the systems we used, some of the ways that, people both from the lead gen side and the franchisor side look at how they measure success, I think still has, room for growth.
Right. I think it's pretty shocking sometimes when, the media is obsessed with the cutting edge. We talk about this all the time. So
Right.
If you read the news, if you watch things online, et cetera, you're always going to see this new thing. Yesterday I saw that there was this big thing on the New York Times about how there's a new robot that knows how to flip hamburgers now, right? Mm-hmm. Which is this kind of cutting edge, innovative thing. Who knows if it's even economically viable in the short run? Meanwhile, the vast majority of businesses that are out there are still using old school stuff. Not old school, maybe fax machines aren't as popular anymore, but just the systems that are in place aren't that. They're not robots flipping burgers. And
right.
I've often talked about it here. A lot of what makes what we do special is how do we not only escort our own organization into the 21st century, if you would, but bring our clients, customers, partners along with us. Mm-hmm. I'll ask this question. When you think about all the opportunities that are ahead of us through FranchiseHelp, FranFunnel, et cetera, any of them specifically make you super excited? Where you're wow, I'm really pumped to wake up every morning and tackle this.
I think it's really the confluence of FranFunnel, FranchiseHelp, and some of the other technologies we're working on. It's not one or the other. I think having more of a holistic approach to franchise development, franchise marketing, franchise sales,
right.
I think will have a multiplier effect.
Yeah. So
that's the thing I'm most excited about. Is okay, we've built all these really cool things. How do we kind of come to market together?
Right.
And how do we just have outsized results for our customers?
Right. We've talked about it before. We like to joke. Sometimes we say, if you work at a franchisor, your job is to be sold to. Right? You wake up every morning and you're sold to. And the reason is there are so many piecemeal solutions out there for each of the individual problems that you have, some good, some bad, whatever it may be. And yeah, it's kind of the holy grail to be able to look at someone who works at a franchise in a franchise development office, franchise marketing, whatever it may be, and say, hey, all you got to do is talk to me, and I actually have an excellent solution for multiple of your problems, right? Or we're going to bundle together this series of frustrations that you have, and kind of help you come to the right solution. It's hard, right? Because ultimately being an expert in solving multiple problems is difficult for any business to do. For those of you out there who run your own business, you probably realize this. But I'm motivated to hear that you're motivated by that, because ultimately I think the best conversations, the best partnerships that we do have with people in the franchise space are like that, right? They realize this is a more holistic thing, and how can we use our expertise? Last question here. We do live in a little bit of a scary world. I don't want to be too pessimistic, but when you think about kind of the intrinsic fears that you have about starting in this world and what you've learned in the first few weeks, is there anything that kind of like, wow, that gets you like, oh man, this is pretty scary?
I think so. My impression is that people don't jump from the franchise industry to the tech industry to the finance industry. People stay in the franchise industry, and
That's
because
fair.
of that, people have built like mountain of knowledge.
Okay.
And I'm starting from the bottom of the mountain. And so the thing that scares me, it's not, scares me personally, is that, I want to best represent FranchiseHelp, the company, and really, get ingrained in the industry, but it's a steep mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And that's just a challenge I'll have to overcome.
Absolutely. I remember I was at a conference this past October, and I met a gentleman who introduced himself. He said, I invented the discovery day. I was like, oh, okay. I feel like maybe I'm not qualified to be in this conversation. And meanwhile, Alex here thinks that I know something about the franchise industry. So there's always a bigger fish. Well, we're glad to have you aboard. As usual, it's fantastic to get a lens for someone who's not as experienced as what the rest of us may have been. As you alluded to, there's a lot of people who've been in this industry for a long time. So I try to get as many people kind of in the early stages to let us know what they're thinking. But we're glad to have you aboard, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Talk to you soon.